Okay, now we're going to work on Chapter 6, Sample Test. This is very close to what's going to be on the test, so you need to make sure you can understand this. So print out the study guide, the sample test, work it through with me. Put it aside, print out the sample test one more time, take it by yourself as if it was a test. Okay, and then grade it yourself. Anything you missed, go back and study a little bit and try again. And repeat this process until you can take the entire thing and not get any wrong. That's going to be your best way to do well on the test. Okay. All right, follow the directions for each section. Please show your work and circle your answers. Factor out the greatest common factor. Well, let's see. They both have a 2. They both have a 4. Nope, they don't have both have 8. So it's going to be the 4, and what's left is 2y plus 3. It says factor out. It does not say what is the greatest common factor. So 4 is not a sufficient answer. You have to show the whole thing. All right, on this one, let's see. They all have a 2 and at least one x. So if I take a 2x out of the 6x to the 4th, I have 3x cubed. Out of the 8x squared, I have, 4x. And out of the 18x, I have 9 and no x. So that would be my final answer. All right, factor completely. All right, this is set up already to do grouping. So if I group these two like this, and then I can factor out, let's say out of the first one, a 3x, and that's going to leave me with 3x plus 2. Out of the second one, I can factor out a 5. And that's going to leave me, yay, 3x plus 2. That's what I want, those two to be the same, so that now I can factor out 3x plus 2. So that's going to come out and sit out here. And then I'm going to have a parentheses. So the 3x plus 2 is now sitting outside. What is left behind? Well, let's see. We have 3x and a plus 5. So we have 3x and a plus 5. All right, so this is my final answer. I'm going to write it all in one color, all together without highlighting. 3x plus 2, 3x plus 5. Now I can check this by multiplying those. If I FOIL these, I get 3x times 3x. I get 15x, and I get 6x, and I get 10. And if you look, sure enough, slightly different order, but that's what I had. All right, so now we're going to do number 4. I accidentally touched it and got some extra little dots there. All righty. X and X, because I can't factor anything monomial out. All right, so now I have factors of 45 that subtract to 4. Factors of 45 are, the easy ones are 5 and 9. So that actually gives me, if I subtract those two numbers, I get 4, which is what I'm looking for. So I have 9 and 5. Okay, so since this is a minus, they're different. And the larger is plus. So the 9 being the larger one is our plus. All right, so that's our answer. Now I'm going to double check this by doing a FOIL. So I have x squared firsts, outer, whoops, it's not a plus, it's going to be minus 5x. Inner, 9x, and lasts. So that's the plus 9 times the negative 5 gives me negative 45. I have to simplify this, so I put those two together, and I get x squared plus 4x minus 45. Sure enough, sorry, that's what I started with. Okay, number 5. X squared plus 12x plus 39. Well, x, let's see, that's a square. The 36, this is a square. So if this is 2 times that square root, I've got a perfect square here. And sure enough, it is, because I've got 6 squared and I've got 2 times 6. So that means, I'm still in highlighting. That means I have, since they're both pluses, x plus 6. Now I can check this. I get first, outer, inner, lasts. And sure enough, if I add those two together, I get 12x. All right, let's look at this one. All right, so this is fun. I've got x and y. I have an x squared up front and a y squared in the back, so that gives me this. All right, now, I need factors of 42 that subtract to 1. All right, 6 and 7. They both go on the y's because the 42 is on the y. Now, since this has a different, since that's a minus, this tells me my larger is negative, so that would be my y, my 7. Okay, so this would be my answer. I'm going to check it by multiplying. First, outer, inner, and last. And if I add those two together, I'm going to get a negative 1xy, so this is indeed my answer. Okay, 7. I immediately see they're all even, which means I can at least factor out a 2. So I have 2. There's no x in common, so I'm going to be keeping my x degrees all exactly the same. Okay, so now to factor it completely, factors of 10 that subtract to 3. Well, that's going to be 5 and 2. Okay, and my larger is the plus. So 5 is my larger, so that's where I'm putting the plus. So this would be my final answer. We'll check this by doing a FOIL. X squareds firsts, outers minus 2x, inners plus 5x, lasts minus 10. Now, if I put these two together, I get a 3x, and then I multiply them by 2. I get 2x squared plus 3x minus 20. And sure enough, that 3 was supposed to be multiplied by this 2. So that 3 is actually a 3 times 2, which is a 6, and yes, that still works. All right, so now we're going to go on to the next page. All right, let's look at this one. Number 8 here. I do not have anything in common. There's 2 of them are even and the other one is not. And I don't have any 5s in the others. Okay, so we're going to have a prime. So it's 2x, x. Okay, and then I need factors of 12 that subtract to 5. All right, so factors of 12. 12 is 3 times 4, 2 times 6. One times 12. Oh, but I have to remember I'm combining it, one of them with 2. Okay, so if I take the 2 and I multiply it by the 4, I get 8. 1 times 3 is 3, and that's going to leave me with 5. So I have 8 and 3. All right. The 5 has a negative. So my larger is negative. The larger is the 8, and I don't have an 8 there. I apologize. You probably caught me, so you're probably already aware of this. But the 8 was generated by 2 times 4. Okay, so I have to get rid of both of those, sorry. The 8 was generated by 2 times 4. So I need 2 times 4. So that's where my 4 has to go, which leaves me with a 3 there because it's 3 times 1. All right, now, the larger is negative, so that's the 8. The 8 is the 2 times 4, so that's going to make it negative, and the other positive. The 3x is positive. So let's double check this. This is our answer. So we have firsts, 2x times x is 2x squared. First outer, 2x minus 4 is a minus 8x. Inner, plus 3x. And lasts, minus 12. I put the negative 8x and the 3, I get negative 5x. And sure enough, that's my answer. Okay. Nope. Not all divisible by 3. I was hoping. All right. So now this gets a little more complicated. We got to think about factors of 12. So if I kind of like to go for the middle first. So if I use 3 and 4 and then factors of 3, they have to add to 37. Whoa, that's big. So even if I did 3 times 4 is 12, and then I'm adding 3, that's not even going to come close. So let's use bigger factors than the 3 and the 4. All right, let's go with the 12 because if I multiply 3 times 12, I get 36. Still 1 less, so I have to add another 1, and that's going to give me my 37. All right, so that means my x's are 12 and just x. And then the 12 has to be multiplying the 3, which leaves me with a 1 here. All right, now they're all the same. They're all pluses. If you forget, they're all the same because of this term. If that's a plus, both parentheses have the same sign. If it's a minus, they have different signs. Okay. Oh, wait, we didn't check it. Let's go check this guy. Okay, so we have, whoops, wrong color. can't read the yellow. We have 12x squared. We have 12 times 3 is 36x. And we have 1x. And we have 3. And sure enough, that's going to give me 12x squared plus 37x plus 3, which is what I started with, so check, it works. All right, 5x squared plus 7xy plus 2y squared. No common factors. Sorry, it just went weird. Okay. 5 is prime, so it's going to be a 5x and an x. We need factors of 2, which is prime, when combined with 5, are going to give us 7. Oh, that's 5 and 2. So the 5 has to be multiplying a 1. So the 2 has to sit over here, a 1y. And they're both pluses, so they're all pluses, and there we go. So this is hard to read, so I'm going to rewrite it. 5x plus 2y times x plus y. And that would be my answer. I can multiply this out and make sure I was right. 5x and x is 5x squared. 5x and y is 5xy. 2y and x is 2xy. And then 2y and y is 2y squared. Okay, so now I have 5x squared. I add the 5xy and the 2xy. And I have the 2y squared. And sure enough, that's what I started with. All right, let's look at 11. I can factor out they all have a 3 and they all have an x. So I have 3x squared plus 5x plus 2. So I have a 3x out here. That 3x has to be there in the final answer, so you need to keep writing it. I know it's a pain, but there you have it. So 3 is prime, so I'm going to have 3x and x. And then I need factors of 2, which are 2 and 1, that combine with the 3 to get 5, adding them all together. Well, that's 2 plus 3, right? So the 2 cannot be being multiplied by the 3. That has to be the 1. The 2 is independent. There we go. All right, they're both plus signs, so that means they're all pluses, and that's my final answer. I have to include that 3x. You don't get to drop it, because it is part of the final answer. Okay, 12. Okay, the first thing I notice, I want you to take a look at the fact that these are all squares. 7 squared, x squared, 1 squared. So that means I've got, if this is twice their cross product, all right, let me write this out so you can see it. So I have 7x squared, and I have 1 squared. If I multiply the bases together, 1 times 7x, I get 7x. If I multiply that by 2, I get the 14x. This means this is a perfect square trinomial. So I've got 7x and the 1, and then a squared. Now, because this is a minus, I know they're both minus. It's all minus. So that would be my final answer. You could factor it the other way and forget the answer as well. All right. This is a difference of squares. X squared minus 144. So we have, I don't really like writing with red. X minus the square root, right? So the 144 is 12 squared. 1 minus 12, sorry, x minus 12, x plus 12. That's the pattern we know. That's the formula we know. Okay, I'm just checking. Okay, we have 2 more on this page. All right, this is a difference of cubes. Okay, so I'm going to write down the formula again for you real quick. If I have a cubed, either plus or minus b cubed, this is going to equal the a and then the same sign, plus or minus b, times a squared, but now the sign flips. If it was plus before, it's now minus, and if it was minus before, it's now plus. AB plus b squared. That's our pattern. Okay, so I have a z cubed and 216, I believe is 6 cubed. Let's see. Yes, okay. So I have z, it's a minus, so this is a minus, and 6. Then I have z squared. Flip the sign. A is 6, or b is 6, and a is z. And then plus 6 squared. That's my 36. And that's my final answer. Just follow the pattern. You can go ahead and do the distribution and check that if you want to. I would recommend making sure you check things when you're taking a test. All right, x cubed, and this is 5 cubed. So we have this cube roots, and then the first term squared, flip the sign, the 2 terms, so 5x, plus the last term squared, which is 25. Okay. All right, so now we go on to the next page. X squared plus 4. Prime. This is because there's no way to find with a plus to factor this. The way to see that is, remember in the last section we talk about setting them equal to 0? Well, if I just move that 4, now I have x squared equals negative 4. That's a problem you're never going to work. Anything squared is always going to be positive. It's never going to be negative. So therefore, this is prime. All right, so let's look at these. These are solve and checks. Well, look, this one's already factored for you, so that's really nice. So I have x plus 7. Sorry, I didn't mean to put the parentheses around it. Equals 0, and I have x plus 4 equals 0. Subtract 7 from both sides. Subtract 4 from both sides. So I have x equals negative 4 or negative 7. Okay. Already factored, so I have to set each factor equal to 0 and then solve it. So I subtract 7, divide by 3, all right, let's do the other one. 2x minus 11 equals 0. Add 11, 2x equals 11. Divide by 2, x equals 11 over 2. So, in this case, x equals 11 over 2, or negative 7/3. All right, let's look at number 19. All right, we need to get that 2 over. This isn't in standard form. It has to be equal to 0. So we're going to do that by subtracting 2 from both sides. So now we have to factor x squared plus 12x plus 20. So, equals 0. So I have x and x, factors of 20 that add to 12 are 2 and 10. They're both pluses, so these are both pluses. So if I x plus 2 equals 0, if I subtract 2 from both sides, x plus 10 equals 0. I subtract 10 from both sides. So my final answer is -2, -10. Okay. Now, this is one of those ones that's a pain in the neck because you got to do a bunch of stuff. First, we have to square the x minus 5. Remember that that's like this, right? So we have to FOIL it. So that's going to give us x squared, and then it's going to give us a minus 5x and a minus 5x. Add those together, I get a minus 10x, and then plus 25. Now I have to subtract the 4 from both sides. So 0 equals x squared minus 10x plus 21. Now we have to factor. 0 equals x, parenthesis, parenthesis, x, parenthesis. Factors of 21 that add to 10 are 7 and 3. So minus, so they're both minuses. So x minus 7 equals 0, x equals 7. X minus 3 equals 0, x equals 3. So x equals 3 and 7. All right, I think that's the end of our, that's it. All right, good luck on the Chapter 6 test. Video for, yep,